Welcome to our first installment of How to Build a T-Bucket 101 on VC with Spirit Cars, and we're going to go ahead and go step by step and put them on YouTube up for you and title them, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you follow along, you'll be able to see how we build a T-Bucket. This video is sponsored by SpiritCars.com, and Spirit builds probably the most complete kit on the market when it comes to T-Buckets. We also do Model A's and 32s, 34s, a bunch of other cars. But for today's purposes, we're going to start by just kind of explaining the chassis, and this chassis here is getting ready to go to paint. We had sold this product to a customer, and he assembled it. He assembled the body or the parts for the body, and then brought it back to us to paint. So this is a fundamental basic 23T. We've got an axle, we've got a rear end. We use a 10-bolt Chevy rear end. We've got a 4-inch drop axle. It's got radius rods. Pretty basic stuff. As you can see in the background here, we do a lot of turnkeys. If we're going to do a turnkey at Spirit, we don't necessarily pre-assemble the car. We've done a lot of them, but for the home builder, it's probably not a bad idea to pre-assemble your car, put it together, make sure all the brake lines and all that are on and it fits right, and then take it apart. It doesn't take very long to take apart at all. So once you do that, then you can put it to paint, and then you know everything's going to fit when you put it back together. One of the things when you take a car apart, I would highly recommend, as we're taking this car apart, we're taking all the parts and we're putting them in a bag. We're just labeling what they are. That way when you put it back together, you won't have bolts and parts strewn all over the place. When you order your kit from Spirit, if you happen to get the bolt kit or a super kit, the bolts actually come like this. They're labeled with what they are in the packages. So when you go to put the car together, it's already, you could say, pre-bagged. So again, this car has been assembled, and something the customer did on this, and I'll just make you aware of it. I noticed it. This has got the Slingshot steering. There's a Vega box that mounts. So the box comes up with a pitman arm on the side here. And the reason it's called Slingshot steering, you can see the steering arm. It looks like a slingshot. So what happens, your Vega box steers your left wheel, and then your left wheel through the drag link steers your right wheel. Now there's a thing called the Ackerman angle. Generally, now this has been done before, and the customer put the steering arms facing forward. And there's a couple of problems that could happen with that, although it's been done and it works. If you hit something in the front, you'll bend that drag link, and then your two wheels will come in. Also, there's a thing called the Ackerman angle. When you turn left, you want your left wheel to turn at a greater angle than your right wheel. So when it goes around, the arc is bigger on your outside turn. When you want it to turn right, it needs to be just the opposite. Your right wheel needs to turn more than your left wheel, in the same way the arc goes the other way then. To accomplish that, Ackerman, was the guy's name, figured out if these two steering arms, as you see here, they're bent in, but you want them two steering arms, if you ran a line through those steering arms, both of them would be a triangle directly hitting your differential. Now it'll work this way, it'll just push a little bit. Front axle on here is a spring behind axle, 4-inch drop. We got 37 to 41 Ford spindles. These are new spindles. A lot of companies make them now, reproductions. We use GM calipers, GM rotors. All this kind of stuff is parts store stuff. Something that'll wear out. We don't want to have to go looking for old parts that aren't available anymore. So we just press the bearing adapter onto the spindle, and it takes all the modern brake parts. You've got again, a spring behind, which lowers the axle a little bit more, and a 4-inch drop tube axle. Originally they had an I-beam axle, which you could still use on this, but one of the more common things is the tube axle. Use a spring perch, and it has radius rods. This particular one has got what we call a Spirit style radius rod, and you can see on these over here that would be a hairpin style radius rod. Again, the back on this one has radius rods. The 10-bolt Chevy. We have just a basic steering. We don't have power steering, although power steering is available. All the brackets, when you order a frame from Spirit, all the brackets come fully welded on, and this one happens to be a small block Chevy with a 350 turbo trans. It's all set up for that. All you have to do is bolt your parts together and and put them on. As Ed gets ready to paint this now, he's disassembling it. You can see some of the welds here. They don't look bad, they're clean welds, but we like to clean up any area that you can see from the front of the car. The body's going to go about here. I kind of like to say that a T-bucket's nothing but a glorified engine stand. So we really want that to look good. I mean, people are going to come and look at that. So you can see on these, we've cleaned up some of those welds. So you don't see no seams. It's all clean. It's all nice. Although we do recommend that you would paint your calipers, paint your rotors. The spring perch. Now we don't clean the welds up underneath here, mainly for the reason that you don't see that. We have a spring perch cover that's available. So we put that on, but again, I clean the welds up around here, and anywhere you see it, it's just nice to have a clean look on the T-bucket. You can see in the back here, I mean, you see the edges of your rotor, you see your calipers, and you can even see a little bit through your wheels depending on the wheels you have. So detail everything out nicely. So this is just going to be part one of multiple parts of our How to Build a T-Bucket 101. We'll try to go through the paint, we'll go through wiring, we'll go through, there's just a whole lot of aspects on building a T-Bucket. It's one of the simpler builds. It's a lot less complicated than a full fendered car with power windows, air conditioning, and all the rest of it. At Spirit, we like to think that we do build the most complete kit on the market. We've pre-thought most of the problems you might have, so when you get the kit, it's mostly just assembly, not too much fabrication. Start with the fundamentals and then create what you want. There's so many different ways to just add motor parts or different wheels and tires and different paint schemes, and as long as you have the fundamentals down and your car steers and goes down the road straight and safe, it's to have fun with. So that's why we build cars, to drive and have fun. So this is part one, and stay tuned. We did this on a live YouTube. I don't know if there's a follow button or not. We've got, this is going to be on T-Bucket TV, and we will just keep putting that on until we go ahead and build the car. So thanks for being with us in this episode.